You'll never believe that was the first day. Oh my gosh. It feels electrically alive. Oh, how are we feeling? Honestly, can't get better than that. But anyway, let's try and get the vibe going. Give us a yell. Don't be shy. Who's having a drink tonight? Fantastic. Anyone smoking a bit of weed tonight? Okay, couple. Who's got heroin in their bag? Imagine if this whole gig was set up just to get you to come here and publicly admit to crimes you'd committed. Like, I don't know, who's ever killed someone and not told anyone about it? Yeah! Over here. 2 cops and 10 true crime podcasters run in here. What's your story? Don't worry, you can relax. Your secret is safe with me. This is a safe space tonight, and I need you to know you can relax. I ain't no narc. I ain't a snitch. And I certainly ain't no undercover cop. If anything tonight, up here, I'm an undercover tough guy. I feel like you don't believe me. What do I turn to the side? Okay, well, don't worry, I can prove myself. I recently did the toughest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and that is I headbutted a wall and put a hole in it. Pretty fucking tough, right? Yeah, but the reason I headbutted a wall is I passed out during a blood test. Yeah, it turns out I'm scared of needles. Both kinds. Hate knitting as well. Always have. But I'm nothing if not efficient, right? Because I went in there trying to give them a blood sample, but by the time I'd finished, I'd given them a bonus urine sample as well. Just sort of had to mop it off the floor around me. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much. My name is Dave, and this show is called Even Hotter in Real Life. Thank you. What do you think? Honestly, if you don't like what you see, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No refunds. Lock the doors. But if you do like what you see, feel free to slide into my DMs after the show, say hello. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. I do not want to hear from you. Because I'm married now. Thank you so much. A few fans of marriage in, appreciate that. There's my ring. My one single ring. My wife got 2. I got down on one knee, I said, "Will you marry me?" She said yes, I gave her ring. It was a beautiful moment. Then I was like, okay, where's mine? I might be an idiot, but I genuinely did not realise that traditionally in a hetero relationship, the woman will get an engagement ring and the man will get nothing. Isn't that bullshit? They've had it too good for too long. We need to come together tonight, rise up, hashtag smash the matriarchy, hashtag close the gender ring gap, which is a real thing, by the way, people. That's currently up here at 100%. The wage gap, people always talk about, that's only 15%. This is clearly a much bigger issue, people. Mathematically, if nothing else. A bit of satire there to start the show, I think. Not 100% sure what satire is, but I need you to know I don't mean anything I just said. Good, I am married. I do mean that I am married. Is anyone else married? Give us a cheer if you are married. Oh, wow, quite a lot in tonight. The last 4 times I've done this show, that got absolutely nothing. What a way to find out your key demographic is people who are destined to die alone. So thank you to the marriage people. I appreciate you coming out tonight if you are married. It's great. I love being married. I have noticed one thing, though, and that is, since being married, I've noticed one thing, and that is people are very happy to point out how much hotter my wife is than I am. As if that's some sort of compliment. And hotter than this, can you imagine? We are talking supermodel levels. They always have the same comment. They say one of 2 things. They always say, geez, you're punching above your weight, you're punching. Or, wow, you're batting above your average, you're batting. And I'm like, yeah, I am batting. Off every night, she will not have sex with me. She won't have sex with me. But, honestly, if you saw her, you'd understand. But apart from that, it's going great. I'm loving it. Love being married. I love having a partner by my side, my equal in every way. But my favourite part about being married is, of course, the sweet relief knowing that if I play my cards right, I'll probably never have to meet a partner's parents for the first time ever again. The most stressful situation known to humanity, and I'm terrible at it. I always overthink it, always have, all the way back in year 7 when I had my first ever girlfriend. She invited me over to her house. I was very excited, And I got there, I didn't realise I'd have to meet her dad. He stood there in the doorway, death staring me as I walked up the driveway. Didn't say anything, he just crushed my hand with the strongest handshake I've ever felt in my entire life. And the first thing he said to me was, "Your hands are clammy." And I did not know what clammy meant. So I just looked this adult back in the face and I just said, "Thank you." I very quickly found out what clammy means, and I've thought about that interaction approximately every 16 seconds for more than 2 decades at this point. It was awful. And when I met my now wife's parents for the first time, I actually thought I'd broken the curse. It actually started going well. We went out for a picnic by a lake. We had fish and chips. The conversation was flowing. I thought, you're away here. It's over. You've done it. But then a bird shat on my hand. And I was freaking out. First it was clammy. Now it's shitty. I didn't know what to do. Fortunately, no one noticed and I was able to wipe it on some grass discreetly. And thank God for that, because I was this close to having to pretend it was a bit of tartare sauce. But I didn't do that, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. So it's great this is the final time I ever do the show here in Melbourne, in my hometown. It's great to be here. The first time I ever did it, though, it was in Adelaide at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. Love Adelaide. Anyone from Adelaide in? All right. I love your city. I'm not going to shit on Adelaide. I love it. It's a fantastic place, but I have noticed you can't go anywhere for dinner after about 7 o'clock. Everything closes. And I did the show on a Saturday night and I wanted to go out afterwards to have something to eat. Everything's closed. There's only one option, and that is a 24/7 Hungry Jack's. And at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, that place is like a war zone. You want to get in, get out, and not look at anyone. But something happened where I got very distracted. There was an incident, and that is I sat down to eat my burger, and there was a guy sitting next to me, clearly a tradie of some description. He was like covered in dust and dirt and wearing like workers' clothes. Workers' clothes. I'm a real man of the people. But I'm just trying to paint the scene here. So I'm sitting here and the peasant worker's sitting there, okay? That's what's happening. He's there, I'm here. And I didn't really notice him until another guy comes up, clearly out of his mind on this Saturday night, eyes rolling in the back of his head, and he sees this tradie and he gets really excited and he goes, hey, excuse me, are you a plasterer? Are you a plasterer? And the tradie's like, no, I'm good. No, don't, leave me alone. The guy's like, no, are you a plasterer? You're a plasterer, aren't you? And he says, no, I'm not a plasterer. Leave me alone. And then the guy, out of his mind, looked really disappointed and he sort of wandered away, really dejected. And then the tradie goes to pick his burger back up, but he obviously caught me staring at him in amazement. And he goes to me, oh, sorry about that. I am a plasterer. This happens all the time. Adelaide, what a place. I say so, that's amazing. So it's great to be back here in Melbourne where if I want a plasterer, I can probably just call one up. I don't just have to wander the streets trying my luck. Are you a plasterer? I'm doing a renovation. But we're such an artistic city here in Melbourne. There's always some sort of performance art going on, always something to see. I remember last year I was walking up Bourke Street Mall and I saw this big crowd gathered in front of a shop, like over 100 people, and they were staring at something and I was like, what's going on here? Was this some sort of incredible busking act that I've got to see? So I poked my head around and it wasn't a busker. 100 people had gathered to watch a single seagull try and take on an entire KFC Zinger burger. And it was fucking awesome. People were cheering to rip the bun off and everyone went wild. And then another bird came on, everyone was like, boo. It became a full pantomime. The mashed potato and gravy's behind you. Best ad for KFC ever. I saw that, I was just like, shut up and take my money. So I'm not sure if you can tell under this lighting here in the studio, but I've been dyeing my hair lately. Thank you. Grey. Just sort of one hair a day for about 8 years. Strand by strand. Slowly going undercover as a senior citizen. One day, boom, discount bus tickets. Totally worth it. No, it's totally going great. I've been in denial about it for a long, long time, but now it's at the point where I've got this big streak here coming through. I can't deny it anymore. And I've hated it because my whole life I've looked way younger than I am, and now I've got this thing aging me up. And I feel like I've lost my identity, right? And it's so weird because growing up, I would have killed to look older. And now I'm like, you were a fucking idiot. Got this horrible streak coming through, and I've been freaking out about it, but I've been trying to think of a way to rebrand. Not a young-looking person now. I'm trying to be like a salt and pepper hunk. I've been trying to get my wife to call me Mr. Sheffield in tribute to the great man from The Nanny, but that has not taken off. Instead, she started calling me Cruella de Vil. It's hurtful. And our dog is looking very, very worried. But I was freaking out about so much, I did a very embarrassing thing. I started Googling, why am I going grey? Why am I going grey? And I found this great, actually, self-help website. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this one. It's called Reddit. Oh, man, it's awesome. People put these great tips on there, and then everyone's really encouraging and positive on there. Such a fantastic, lovely environment. I love being on there. And I found someone had posted, hey, if you think you're going grey too young, it could be stress. So what you got to do is write down everything in your life causing you stress, then cross them off one by one, and then maybe, just maybe, your hair will stop going grey. Fantastic, I'll try anything. So I wrote down everything in my life causing me stress. I looked at the page, realised I'd written down one thing, and that's going grey. So I'm trapped in this very vicious silver cycle. But my wife, bless her, she saw this, she did feel a bit sorry for me. So rather than calling me Cruella de Vil, she said, look, Dave, a lot of people go grey and they look fantastic. Have you seen Pierce Brosnan lately? He's gone grey and he looks so hot. And I was like, yeah, but do you remember what Pierce Brosnan looked like before he went grey? I think his face might be doing a little bit of the heavy lifting. And I would never compare myself to the great man Pierce. I'm a big Pierce head. Any other Pierce heads in tonight? Any Brosniaks? Where my Brosniaks at? I'm a Brosniak through and through, and I'm an OG Brosniak because the first movie, looking back, that I ever saw in a cinema was his first James Bond movie called GoldenEye. Great movie, I'm not sure if you've seen it. It came out in 1995 when I was just 5 years old, and my dad took me to the cinema, which looking back is wildly inappropriate. Clearly what's happened is the babysitter's fallen through and he's gone, fuck it, we're going to go see Bond. So I'm there at 5 years old, and I'm not sure. Give you a cheer if you've seen GoldenEye. There's a lot of you, maybe I'll get you up to speed in case you're not familiar. James Bond, he's a secret agent. Seen this? Heard about this? And in the movie, he's the good guy and there's a baddie in it. Her name is Xenia On a Top. On a top. On a top. She fucks on a top. Do you get that? It's subtle, but that's very good writing. So she's a baddie in the movie, and we know she's a baddie, he knows she's a baddie, she knows he knows she's a baddie. But despite that, they start hooking up anyway. And as a 5-year-old, I saw this on the screen, and I stood up next to my chair and yelled at the top of my lungs, "Don't kiss her, shoot her!" And it got a big laugh. And I've been chasing that feeling ever since. So my whole life, I looked way younger than I was, and I can't even imagine how young I would look. As a 5-year-old, I would have looked like a fetus in that cinema. Like, there are times in my life when I looked 5, 10, 12 years younger than my actual age. And I remember, I didn't actually notice that until I got to high school in year 7, and I looked around and I was like, whoa, these boys are way bigger than me. And I was always really, really scared to go into the year 7 locker bay toilets. Talk about a war zone. No one ever cleaned them. And you'd go in there and there was always stale urine in the bowl. No one ever flushed. And I'd go in there and I'd see this wee and I'd think, why doesn't mine look like that? This must be a man's piss. This is a man's urine. I can't wait till I'm older till mine looks like this. And it was always really dark. And had sort of a froth over the top. And I was desperate to have that. And now, as an adult, I realise that's not a man's piss. That's the piss of a severely dehydrated boy. And there is nothing manly about dehydration. Real men drink 2 litres of water every single day. Cheers. I promise I'll finish it later. And I had this really warped view of masculinity, obviously, and manliness and manhood and what it was to be an adult. Because I remember at the end of year 7, I went away with a friend. We went to the beach for a week with my family, and we were obsessed with the fact that neither of us had any armpit hair. We were upset. We were like, how are we going to talk to girls on the beach if we don't have any armpit hair? I know it then, I know it now. One thing women love, it's armpit hair. You love pits, you can't get enough of the stuff. And we didn't have any, so we came up with an ingenious backstory. We're going to approach women, and this is what we're going to say to them. We're going to say, hello there. You might have noticed it looks like we have no armpit hair. Well, let me tell you a story. It was New Year's Eve a few nights ago when we were having a couple of lemon ruskies. Because, yes, we're young, but we like to dabble in the devil's drop. And we were throwing the Lynx Africa deodorant can around, throwing it under our armpits a little bit. Then we thought, why don't we set the hair on fire? But then there was a pool there. We immediately jumped into the pool, and that's why it put the fire out. It looks like we got no armpit hair, but also there's no burns remaining. Fancy a dip? Would you believe we spoke to 0 girls that summer? So I don't know if that method actually works. Feel free to try it out. Obviously, you'll have to burn off your armpit hair first, but let me know how you go. And one of the reasons I looked way younger than people my age is I was always super duper thin growing up, super thin. I know I'm still pretty thin now, but until I was 23 or 24, I only weighed 52 kilos, which is not enough. That's in the old scale. It's not enough. And I always thought it was just my metabolism or like it was a supernatural thing. And I was always super slow at eating. And I was like, whatever. But then one day I went to the doctor and we did a series of tests and we worked out that the reason I was so slow at eating was I've got a really weird esophagus, right? And I don't want to lose the room here with a bit of medical mumbo jumbo. But your esophagus, that's your food tube that takes food from the back of your mouth all the way down to the top of your tum-tum. Okay? Did I lose anyone there? And most people's esophagus is about the size of your thumb. That's the inside bit, right? And the food easily goes down there. But mine, we found out, in 9 separate places, has a series of strictures or these things called webs, where it's smaller or tighter than the inside of a pen. And when I found that out, I was furious. I was just about to go on the all-Bic diet, and I was fully out the window. I had to start again. So I've got these strictures in 9 places, right? And I was happy about that because I finally had a reason whilst I was a super slow eater, I was super thin. So I told all my friends. Most people felt a bit sorry for me, but not my friend Brad. I said to him, I've got this thing that makes it hard to swallow. And he goes, I guess you'll never be a porn star then. That's the first thing he said to me. And I was shocked by that. And I was offended, and I was shocked that I was offended because I've never wanted to be a porn star before. I've never claimed to be able to be. I've got a few things, honestly, holding me back from ever being a professional pornographic actor. But I also don't like being told that I can't do something. So that's when I decided to get the operation to get it fixed. And what they do is they put a camera down there, and attached to the camera is this balloon that they call a bougie. And I was like, have you got anything cheaper? A bit bougie, They put it down there and then they sort of expand it and they open up the esophagus and it makes it bigger, right? And I've had this operation done 3 or 4 times. It's a bit painful, but it's worth it. It makes eating way easier. And but I always go into the operation with a bit of trepidation because, despite it being a minor procedure, I always worry that I'm going to die on the operating table, right? And that is because there was an incident the first time I ever had the operation done, and that is as I was being wheeled into the theatre, the nurse came up to me and she double-checked I was in the right place, my name, my number, all that sort of stuff. And then she goes, what are you here for? And I said, I'm here for esophageal webs, right? And she says, I've never heard of that. What causes it? And I said, it's congenital, right? And congenital, that means you're born with it. You're born with it. And I said, it's congenital. And she says, does that mean it's in your genitals? And then she must have seen the look of horror on my face. And she adds, sorry, it's too early. I haven't had my coffee yet. And I was wheeled in, and those were the last words I heard before I went under. So I remember falling asleep thinking, shit, I think they're about to put a giant balloon down my dick. Maybe I will be a porn star after all. I wish. Sadly not. Sadly not. So I looked way younger than everyone else my age, and it didn't hold me back, though, from my first uni job, despite the fact it probably should have, and that was when I was 19. My job on the weekend was dressing up as characters at kids' birthday parties. I'm talking a clown, a superhero, a wizard, a pirate, and it was a dream gig, right, because I was studying drama at uni during the week and doing that on the weekend. So, clown on the streets, Chekhov in the sheets. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. That was my life. And actually, it went pretty well when I was the clown and that kind of stuff. But then Christmas came around and I got the call up to play the big guy, Santa Claus. And I know, even looking at me now, 15 years later, I'm not your first choice to play jolly old Saint Nick. But back then, when I was 19, weighing 52 kilos, I was not ready. But they said to me, don't worry. We'll give you a fat suit. But the fat suit, it turns out, was just the padded stomach here, right? So my 19-year-old stick legs and arms were sticking out either side. I ended up looking more like a Christmas turtle, right? And I could feel the disappointment as I rocked up at these parties. They were like, this cannot be our Santa Claus. This cannot be it. It was really embarrassing. And I remember once I was doing a gig here in the city in Melbourne. It was a party in the morning as Santa, then I had to drive out to the suburbs about 45 minutes and then do another one. First one went well, but I got to my car in the city and it was completely broken down. I was freaking out, didn't know what to do. This is before Uber, so I had to run out to Collins Street and try and flag down a taxi. And I don't know if you know this, if you're dressed fully as Santa Claus, trying to wave down a taxi, they think you're just there spreading Christmas cheer. I was getting more and more desperate. Stop! Stop, you bastard, please! I need this! I'm commandeering this sleigh! Taxi. I made it there. And I actually thought that was my last job for the year, and I thought it was my last job ever because I got a new job for January. But then a few days before Christmas, a job came up, and I was called out of retirement for one last big job. And I was literally one day away from retirement here. And I wish I hadn't have done it because I went out, I did this cricket club, and it all went well. And I remember walking back to the car, smugly dressed as Santa, thinking, I'll never have to do this again. And that's when it happened. The kids from the party followed me to the car park and proceeded to beat me up. It was the 12 and 13-year-olds were the ringleaders. They started punching my padded stomach. At first, they got bored of that and they started ripping off my beard and sort of punching me all over. And it sounds really embarrassing, but what you got to remember is they're 12 and 13, but I was 11 looking at the time. So it was pretty much a fair fight. But the worst part, looking on, was a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds who'd come out and they still very much believed in the Christmas spirit. So I decided to defend myself, yes, but also stay in character. So I was like, please don't punch me there. I'll have to put you on the naughty list. If you keep kicking me, kid, I'll have to tell Mrs. Claus we'll give you some coal on Christmas Day. Please don't pinch me there. If you keep doing that, I'll have to get Rudolph down here to fucking kick you in the balls, you little shit. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And that's the last time I've ever dressed up as Santa Claus, because I was out of there. My next uni job was much better, and that was hosting pub trivia. Correct. I love trivia. I still absolutely love it. I did it for years. I did hundreds and hundreds of pub trivia gigs, and it's so great. My favourite part about it was giving away jugs of beer, because people go wild for a free jug of beer. Like, I could bring out a free jug of beer right now, and you would lose your minds just seeing it here. You're imagining a jug of beer, and you lose your... That's how crazy people are for beer. And it was my privilege to give out 4 every single week. And my favourite one to give away was with a game called SMS Me, where I gave out my phone number to the entire pub, which, yes, is a very dangerous thing to do. And then the question was always, name this celebrity. And then they'd be on a big screen behind me, right? And they'd start out pixelated and they'd slowly come into focus. And my phone would light up with text messages, yes, with a few dick pics at first. But I get rid of those, and then celebrities' names would come through until someone named the celebrity. So it would come through my phone, it would just say Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Benedict Cumberbatch, right? Until someone got it right. And it was always my favourite anyway, but it became even more of a favourite when one guy who came every week for 2 years at this pub I did in North Fitzroy came up to me and he said, I realised why we never win the jug of beer during SMS Me. I thought you didn't like our team or something, but turns out the first week you were here 2 years ago, I saved your number wrong by 1 digit. And the way he'd found out that was he'd finally got a reply. And he showed it to me, and all it said was, please stop sending celebrities' names to my 10-year-old son. If you do it again, I'm going to call the police. And I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. Just imagining every Monday night, about 8:30, this kid's getting ready for bed. His phone just starts lighting up. Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks. Mummy, it's happening again. And I said to the guy in the pub who showed me the message, I said, you got to track down this 10-year-old kid. He owes you like 30 free jugs of beer. Didn't do it. My next job was my first ever full-time role, first ever office job. I was working in production on a TV show and ended up working there full-time for about 6 or 7 years. It was a great gig, worked with some awesome people, but I'm amazed that I made it to day 2, let alone the 7th year, because there was an incident on the first day. And that is some of my courage here. What happened on the first day I ever worked in an office? I did a poo at work. In the bowl. It didn't go that badly. But then when I hit flush, my poo left the bowl. And then a different one came in. And I did not know what to do. I just stood there staring at it for what felt like minutes. So many questions were running through my mind. Where did this come from? Whose is this? Should I tell someone? Then I thought, is this a test? Like, this is my first day here. Like, I'm technically on probation. Like, is this to see what I do to other people's property? Like, should I take it and hand it into lost property? And then I thought, no. Clearly, Dave, this is some sort of hazing-style ritual where basically what's happened is I'm going to get back to my desk in 5 minutes' time and my poo's going to be sitting there with a Post-it note next to it saying, missing something. Very funny on the new guy. And I can feel a bit of tension in the room. And not just because this is disgusting, but because a few of you, there's always some suspicion in the room when I tell this story, and that's because a few of you I know are overthinking it, thinking, Dave, clearly what's happened here is the flush has gotten involved and it's transformed your poo and it's made it look like a different poo, but it's still very much your borry. But to those people I say, okay, Hercule Poirot, this is not an episode of Law & Order SV Poo, okay? And besides, I've stared at this thing for minutes. I've studied every corner of this thing. I wish mine looked like this. I wish I knew who this belonged to so I could, 1, shake their hand, 2, apologise for being clummy, of course, and 3, ask them about their diet, because this is a thing of beauty. In the end, I summed up the courage. I hit flush, bracing for a third friend to appear in the bowl. And in the end, I did what any reasonable person here tonight would do, and that is, I didn't take a shit at that workplace for 7 years. That's why I had to get out of there. It was killing me. It was killing me. But a job I've been doing over the last couple of years is I've been working a lot more as a TV warm-up guy. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Oh my God. Who did the warm-up tonight? They're amazing. And I've been working on a few different shows. If you're not familiar with a TV warm-up person, basically, they're the person that greets the audience when there's a live audience for a TV show. And then during the shoot in the studio, they chat to them during the ad breaks and also tell them when to clap and get them really excited, that kind of thing. Basically, it's the person who's not quite hot enough to be on the actual show. They sort of stand over there. But it's a lot of fun. It's super fun. I love meeting the people that come into these things. Most of the people, except there's always groups of students, media students who come in. And there was a Year 10 group I'll never forget last year. And I asked them, do you have any questions about the making of the magic of television? And this kid confidently put up his hand and he said, how does it feel to be a glorified human applause sign? And that cut me deep. He really got me that day. But then a couple of weeks later, I got a new job working on a new show and the roster came out. And usually on the shows I've worked on, it says warm-up guy, warm-up act, Dave Warneke or whatever. But this show, the roster came out and it said warm-up artist. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are looking at an artiste tonight. I felt pretty arrogant about that for a couple of days, but I thought about it and I think there's probably a hierarchy to these things. I think it probably goes something like actual artist up here, then makeup artist, graphics artist, voiceover artist, Subway sandwich artist, warm-up artist, 15-year-old media studies student. Fuck you, we got him. Yeah! Are you in tonight? That's what I thought, coward. And yes, I've been thinking about you every day for 9 months. Which is weird because it's a 15-year-old. Fucking hell. But he really got into my psyche. But I love it. I take it very, very seriously. I try and perfect the art form. You know, they call me the clap coach, the clap captain, El Clapitano. No one's ever called me that, but I'm really trying hard to get that off the ground. But I take it quite seriously. I study the art form, and I feel like I've perfected most types of applause, all the way from a golf clap up to people losing their minds like they've just won 50 grand on a game show. But there's one piece of applause work that has so far eluded me, and that is the standing ovation. The standing O, and I'm desperate to get. I never got one, but I've been studying. I've been watching standing ovation videos, usually from the Cannes Film Festival. I'm sure if you're familiar with Cannes, it's a city in France where they have a big festival every year and movies premiere there and everyone goes, the cast and the crew, and they wear their sort of tuxedos and ball gowns, and at the end of the movie, the audience stands up and applauds the cast while the cast stands up and applauds them back. And it's this weird sort of circle jerk, Mexican stand-up of applause. And you can always see one person lose the will to live. So they can't remember a time in their life when they weren't clapping. And that's what I want for my audiences, right? I really want that. But so far it has eluded me. So I've been watching a lot of movies. No, actually, I never watch the movie. I just watch the applause at the end. That's the best bit. And I watched one from 2012. There's a movie that premiered at Cannes called The Paperboy. And it got a 15-minute standing ovation. You know, The Paperboy, that film we all know and love. That currently has a 33% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. People love this movie. It stars Matthew McConaughey, and I looked it up that same weekend, just 2 days later, another Matthew McConaughey film premiered called Mud, and this time it got an 18-minute standing ovation. So if you add that up, that's 33 minutes of Matthew McConaughey's weekend, of people standing up and applauding him, while he stands up and applauds them back. No wonder he's a bit of a weird guy, right? But those films don't even hold the record. They don't even come close to the record for the individual film with the longest ever standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. I looked it up. It's a great movie. Some of you have seen it probably. It's called Pan's Labyrinth. And it got a 23-minute standing ovation, which is obviously a very long time. But I think we could beat that here tonight. What do you think? I mean, all you got to do is stand up, clap for 24 minutes. I'll clap you back. You sit back down. Honestly, it would make my job a lot easier here tonight. I've got a clock up here. I don't think we have quite enough time to do the full 24 minutes, which will be very disappointing for many of you, I'm sure. But looking up there, I think we do have time for another record. It's much shorter, much easier on you. I've looked this up. We could set another record tonight for the world's shortest standing ovation, which would be one single clap. All you'd have to do is stand up, give one clap, and then immediately sit back down. Would you be up for that at the end of the show? Fantastic. I mean, even if you fuck it up, it would be really funny. But basically, all you have to do is stand up, give one clap, and then sit back down. And then you get to live the rest of your life, okay? Okay. I'll give you a signal. I'll probably say something like, and you know what? That's good enough for me. Stand up, one clap, immediately back down. Okay. Keep that at the back of your minds. You know what? That's good enough for me. So I'm 34 years old now, and every time I feel like, all right, you're a proper adult now, you're doing things properly, I remember I'm absolutely not. Like, for example, how many unread emails do you think you've got right now? Thousands. How many thousand? You were looking at 88,000 and counting. Not that many? Bow down. I have never hit unsubscribe in my life! Deleting emails is for cowards. I'm on first name terms with all 3 Nigerian princes. I've got a big payday coming any day now. And thank God for that, because I'm having to pay extra for Gmail storage. I'm one of the few people on earth who has to pay for a free email account. So you've got thousands. Is anyone on inbox 0? Zero? Absolutely none. Does it make you feel sick when I tell you I have 88,000? It makes my wife's on zero, and if she sees my laptop open, if I leave it unattended, she will dive over and start deleting stuff. And I'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I needed that email from Cash Converters. The newsletter's very important to me. Yeah, it's a lot of emails. What about your first ever email? Was it a Hotmail? Give us a cheer if you're on Hotmail. Oh, you've got fist bumping, bro. Are you still on Hotmail? You've abandoned it? Do you remember what your Hotmail was? You've still got it. Hell yeah, brother, I'm bowing down to you now. Is it something embarrassing? It's just your name. Wow. I can't believe you did that, because that's not how most people used to do it in the early 2000s. Despite back then everything being available, like I could have got dave@hotmail.com. Did I do that? Absolutely not. These days it's super boring at Gmail. It's just your name, your last name, maybe a number. But that's not what we did in the early 2000s. And I remember I used to chat to this girl on MSN, and I'll never forget her email. Her email was twistiesslut@hotmail.com. She was 12 years old. I don't think she even knew what that meant, but that's what you did. You used to just get two words, smash them together. That's your email account. And I can't judge her, because my email was truly wiener@thebeach@hotmail.com. Yeah, that was, embarrassingly, the worst part about that was my Apple ID until I was 32 years old. So if I went into the Apple store to get anything fixed or to buy anything, at the end of the purchase they'd always say, okay, Dave, just double checking, is your best email still, is it wiener@the-beach? And I'll be like, actually it's pronounced wiener at the beach. What kind of genius are you? That email is still active. If you want to email your Hotmail to my Hotmail, we can do some deals. If you can work out how to spell it, it's still active. Wiener at the beach. I don't even know what is that a reference to something? What does that mean? Wiener at the beach. But I love being online. You guys all online? Oh my God, are you on these websites? There's so many of them now. Couldn't possibly list all of them. There's dozens of them, but I love websites. I'll narrow it down. I can tell you my favourite category of website is probably those 18 plus websites. Seen these? Oh my gosh, I love those 18 plus websites. Can't get enough of them. My favourite probably is danmurphys.com.au. Oh, can't get enough of it. Did you know in this country you have to be over 18 just to go on any website that sells alcohol? Which is so funny to me to imagine there's a 12-year-old out in the suburbs being like, oh, how am I meant to know which of my local retailer stocks Dom Perignon now? Ugh. I love it. And I don't know if you've seen this, they have a foolproof system for keeping the kids out of there. They'll never be able to crack this code. And that is, get this, you have to enter your date of birth. Or literally anybody's date of birth. I usually try and test it a little bit. I try and enter the oldest one you can from the drop-down menu. Usually January 1st, 1900. You hit enter, then it takes you to another website for the Guinness Book of Records, saying congratulations, you're the world's oldest person. But it's not just alcohol websites. They're trying to keep kids off a lot of websites, as we know these days, including confectionery websites. It's not a law, but in Australia, a lot of websites, to keep kids away from sugar, you have to be over 16, over 18 to go on there. And I found this out when I was on the M&M's website. Don't ask me what I do with my spare time. I was on M&Ms.com and this little pop-up came up saying, stop, you have to be over 18 to enter. And I read that and I thought, shit. I think I'm about to see the red one fuck the yellow one. Whew. Weirdest erection of my life. Talk about melting your mouth, not in your hand. Ooh. Wow, it's a saucy place. But I think they can take it even further. I think they can go the other way with this technology. I think to keep weirdos off of kids' websites, a little thing should pop up saying you have to be under 18 to enter. Like maybe you go to thewiggles.com, pop up, you have to be under 18 to enter. But I'd misread that and I'd think, shit, I think I'm about to see the red one fuck the yellow one. Wake up, Jeff. More like watch out, Greg. Murray's got plans for you. So it was about this time when I was wienering at the beach at hotmail.com. I started wishing that I would be older. And now, 2 decades later, I'm at the other end thinking, you got to try and conserve what you've got left, buddy. So I'm taking drastic steps, and I've developed a hardcore skincare routine. Anyone using skincare here? Of course, you all look fantastic. Of course, you're a beautiful audience. Absolutely beautiful. Oh my God. Oh, he's talking about me. You're my favourite. So I've got a skincare routine, and I've counted it up. I've got 13 separate products, which might sound like a lot, but I've got 34 years to make up for here. So I'm trying really hard. Let me talk you through my routine. You tell me if this is too much. So, step 1, I approach the sink with a positive attitude. Step 2, I wash my face wash. I dry it, obviously. Then I'm into the hyaluronic acid. I've got the moisturiser over the top, maybe a serum. Then I've got the eye cream, then maybe a day cream or a night cream, depending. Then the BB cream, then the beard oil, then over the top of the SPF. Then I'm into the PDF. Then it's the MDF, a little bit of MDMA, a couple of squirts of WD-40, and my face hasn't squeaked in a long time. And I think the results speak for themselves. Like, I noticed the difference almost instantly to my bank balance. This stuff costs a fortune. I had to withdraw half my super just to get some La Roche-Posay serum. But I think you'll agree, the bags speak for themselves. So I'm freaking out about getting older. I know it's ridiculous because there's always people older than me that come see the show and they go, Dave, you're only 34, it's ridiculous. And I know that I'll look back in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time and be like, mate, you don't know how good you had it. You should have appreciated what you got. So I went back to that self-help website, Reddit, and it said, if you want to be more positive about how you look, don't focus on the negatives, write down your best features, right? And I thought, what is my best feature? Is it my eyes? Quite like my eyes. Is it my ears? They're a great shape, probably 10 to 15% too large, but don't overthink it, Dave. But then I thought, no, my best feature, it's not even on my face, it's a little bit lower. It's actually my feet. Appreciate a few of you trying to crane your neck to get a glimpse of the twins there. But I have locked them away tonight to protect myself. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually not just any part of my foot, it's the sole of my foot. They are so smooth. So soft, unnaturally smooth. It's like, the technical term I believe is soft as a baby's bottom, but it should be soft as Dave Warneke's feet. They're so smooth, so creamy. You could eat a full chicken dinner off these things. They are absolutely beautiful. Well, you could. And I know some of you probably don't believe me tonight, so I've got proof. I've got this made up. This is a photo of my foot. Can you see that there? I cannot stress this enough. This is not to scale. This was a very weird morning at office work. I tried to print it discreetly in the corner, the self-print, but then I forgot I'd have to laminate it, so I had to take it up to the counter. And by that point, I'd already signed my name in the corner, in case I had to auction it for charity one day. And no matter how many times I said, it's for a comedy show, it didn't make it any better. It made it worse. I feel like some of you up the back probably can't see it quite well. Actually, could we please just get it up on the screen here to be a little bit bigger? There it is. Can you see that? Actually, can we enhance that? Enhance. It's bigger than me now. That's probably too big. Actually, enhance. Oh my God. It's okay if you're feeling horny. Even I'm finding that confronting. Can we maybe go back down one side? Oh, it's amazing how that suddenly doesn't look that big anymore. So that's my foot. What do you think? Oh my gosh, you like it. Wow, Adelaide were not into that, but most of them had left by this point looking for a plasterer, but so that's my foot. What do you reckon? What would you score that out of 5? Oh my gosh, 5 out of 5. Any other thoughts? 10. 10. I wish I could go with that. 10 out of 5. I actually I went to the experts. Sorry, I really appreciate your input, but I actually went to the experts to get their thoughts on this, and I uploaded this photo to a website called ratemyfoot.com. Which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It does what it says on the tin. People upload their foot, and then people are rated out of 5. And then people comment on there as well. And I got a comment immediately from someone whose username was Beef Bro. And the comment was, nice and beefy. Which seems on brand. But you give it a 5, I heard a 4, maybe even a 10. Man, I wish you could go on that website for me, because currently I'm not sitting on a 4. I'd kill for a 4. My foot on ratemyfoot.com right now is sitting at a 3.6. A 3.6. My best feature is a 3.6 out of 5. If it was on Uber, I'd be kicked off the app. 3.6 out of 5. And honestly, this was supposed to be like a fun little moment. I thought it would be really, really funny, but I didn't realise my self-esteem was genuinely riding on this. It actually bummed me out that I'm a 3.6 out of 5. And the worst part about it was this was supposed to be the big triumphant finish to the show. Right, I was going to be like, who cares, I'm going grey. At least my foot is a 5 out of 5 on ratemyfoot.com. And you'd all carry me out of here. Some of you would try and touch the feet. I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, but that hasn't happened. Get it off this. That's making me feel sad. I'm sorry. I'll be auctioning that after the show. So that hasn't happened. Then my other thought for the end was, what if I just work with a personal trainer every day for 6 months and focus exclusively on my core? And at the end of the show, I'd just quickly flash you my six-pack. And, it would just fade to black. But that hasn't happened. So, we don't really have an end to the show. Well, that was until just a week before I premiered the show in Adelaide, a letter arrived for me. This is a real letter addressed to me, and it was sent to this very studio where we're recording this stand-up special right now, because it's where I record my podcast, and it was sent here, and it comes all the way from Norway. And I didn't get it for about 6 months because the studio moved and it got lost for a bit, but then it arrived just 2 weeks before I started the show, and it came at a very good time. Because this comes from someone I've never met before. And they write, Dear Dave, and it says who they are, they like the podcast, which is very, very nice. You strike me as the kind of person who would like a handwritten fan letter. I'm sure you get loads of these. And this is the first one I've ever received. So it says some nice stuff, and then it says, I also wanted to communicate some less than appropriate thoughts. But if you prefer, you can just skip to the end where the above border design appears once again. There's a few asterisks. And I was like, okay, you've got my attention. Anything that has its own dolly sealed section is okay with me. And this is what it says here. It says, you are really attractive. Like, really, really attractive. And really is both bolded and underlined. It says, sorry to be repetitive, but words just fall short. You're intelligent, funny, nice, and hot! And like I said, that came at a very good time. For me, not for them. I was already married by this point, but that came at a good time because I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I might be going grey. My wife might be much hotter than me. I'm ready to admit it now. In fact, I may not be even hotter in real life. Still no refunds here tonight. But I am hot enough for some guy in Norway. And you know what? That's good enough for me. Oh my gosh! A standing ovation. I didn't expect this. Are you serious? Oh my gosh. That's the end of the show. Thank you so, so much. Really appreciate it. Good night!
She says she's leaving. I say you know you're gonna hurt two people.